Amazing people. What we're going to do now is we're going to work through and draw some of these linear inequalities. Now for this first example, we've got y is less than or equal to 3x minus 5. So in this case here, the first thing I want to do is, because of its format, I can work out its gradient. And I know that the gradient of this line is going to be 3. So I know it's going to be positive in that regard. Next up, what I want to do is I want to find the y-intercept. So I'm going to let x equal to 0 in order to find that. And when I do that here and substitute that in, that gives me y is less than or equal to -5. Now I've got that intercept here. Now, in addition to this, what I want to do is I also want to let y equal to 0. And this is so I can find the x-intercept as well. So as I do this, I'm going to have 0 is less than or equal to 3x minus 5. And now it's just like a normal inequality where I have to go through and solve this. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides here. It's going to give me 5 is less than or equal to 3x. I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. Now in this case, I'm going to actually turn it around. So I've got the x on the left-hand side. And as I do that, that's going to change the direction of the sign here. I'm going to have x is greater than or equal to 5 on 3, but this can also be written as 1 2/3. Now what I want to do on the Cartesian plane is I want to plot these points. So the first one here is I'm going to plot -5. The second one I need to plot, and I know it's got a positive gradient, so it's going to be on the side as we plot it. So it's going to be 1 2/3. It's going to be roughly there. And now with a ruler, what I want to do is draw a straight line through both of these points. Continuing this on, and you'll notice that it's a solid line because it's less than or equal to in this case. Now the other thing I need to do is I need to work out what region is being shaded in here. Now in this case, based on what we've got here, is I can tell that this is going to be on the lower side, particularly as in the original equation we had a less than sign, and this is also reflected in what I've done with the y-intercepts as well, and the x-intercepts. So in the case of the x-intercept, I'm told it has to be greater than 1 2/3, which is to the right of it. But for the y-intercept, I'm told that it's less than -5, which means it needs to be lower than that part here. And this region I've shaded in satisfies that. In this next example now, what we've got is y is less than 3 over x. Now, one key thing here is we're going to find our intercepts and our gradient. So gradient is pretty easy to work out straight away. That's going to be equal to 3 in this case. For our x and y intercepts, if we let x equals 0, what we find out is y equals 0, and then likewise, which is quite obvious at this stage, if we let y equal 0, we're also going to get x equals 0. So this is going to pass through the origin in this case here. So we will have a point here where it's passing through, which is our origin point. Then in addition to that, we have a gradient of 3. So that means it's roughly going to go up 3 for every one we go across. So a line which is roughly reflecting this going to be here. Now for this line in particular, you will notice that it is a broken line here. The reason for this is that we have a less than sign only. So as part of this, we need to understand what's happening. Now, because it's a less than sign, what that is indicating is it is likely to be this region over here, which is going to provide it, needs to be shaded in. Now, another way we can test this here is what we can do is we can substitute in some test values. So as an example, if I was to take this point over here, okay, let's call that point 2, -2. Okay, I can test that by just substituting this in here. So if I have y equals -2, x is equal to 2, and substitute that in, that's going to give me -2 is less than 3 times 2. So -2 less than 6. Does that satisfy this region which I've colored in? That's a tick. So I know that I've satisfied this region. So that's just another way you can check that you've got the right region shaded in. What was this next one? This one looks a little bit strange because what we've got is x is greater than 2. Now, one of the first things here is going to be a little bit odd because this looks like just a normal inequality which we can plot. So we might have our values here, which we're plotting, and so we might say, okay, we're going to have 2, 1, 0, 3, 4. The colored in region here is going to be from 2, and it's open circle, and we're moving to the right. Now, this is essentially true, but we're going to do it on a Cartesian plane now. Now, in this case here, when we do this, what that means is we're going to put our value here of 2, which is represented. But what we're going to do is this is going to be a broken line in this case because it is greater than only. We're going to plot a point here. So you can see that this line is vertical in how it looks. Now, in addition to that, because we've got the original inequality, which we've graphed over here, to do it on our Cartesian plane now, well, it just means that region to the right of this line is going to be shaded in. Okay, and so this is one of those special cases where it doesn't have a gradient. The gradient is undefined, but this is how we would go about plotting one of these and moving it from a number line to a Cartesian plane. Now we've got another one of these examples where we've got a special line. This one is horizontal, so it has zero gradient as a result. Now, in order to plot this one, it's going to be similar as well. Now we can see that we've got y is less than or equal to 3. So this is our y-intercept, and in this case, we're going to have a solid line. So what I can do is just draw that straight onto my Cartesian plane here. So this is going to be the line that we've got, and that's going to be at 3. Now, the region we're coloring in, it's less than 3. So what that means is essentially the region below this line here, which needs to be shaded in. So that's going to be this region here, below that line, which I've just drawn. And so we've got quite this large region below it, which we have to color in here.